What's up, everybody? Just want to share some information with you. Um, put you on some things that I've learned since I changed my life and do things a little differently. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but since I started doing things differently and following God more than I've ever followed Him. One thing that He told me about, or one thing that He led me to talk about with several young men in a position I was in where I couldn't do but rely on Him, um, that everything is about presentation and perception. Um, what you present is received and perceived to be something from everybody. Everybody's who's watching and paying attention. So your presentation is everything, man. From the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, the way you walk. You know, and it's sad that you know what you present can be considered reality when it could only be entertainment, so to speak. So, just for an example, rappers present something, they say things, they talk about what could have been their life, what was their life, what could very well still be their lives. I'm not here to dictate whether it is or it isn't. But what happens is, in him presenting something to society through television, it tells a story. And what he presents is that he was a thug, or possibly a thug, whatever it may be. Um, and then you tack the video on that he shoots to what he's talking about, and then you have the presentation of who he is or what his life is like. What people aren't realizing is, or I would say the youth is not realizing, is there's a director who directs that video, and that video is nothing short of a short film. So basically, what's happening is the director is actually leading the video, telling the rapper how to be led in that video, and the rappers sometimes have their own um, input on how they want their video to be done. Some more than others, but overall, it's still something that's being presented. And what happens is, in my personal opinion, and I honestly believe this is what's happening, is that the presentation that's going forward is the problem because it's being received and it's the actual it's being perceived by the younger individuals and some older individuals, and it's being misleading. um, and I honestly believe that's why you have more kids wanting to be rappers and sports figures than anything at this point in time, you know, because when you have that rap video says, I have women, I have money, and I have all the flashy cars and the houses that you could ever want. And subconsciously, I honestly believe, man, the younger mind, which is not fully developed and it doesn't think as it should, it begins to perceive, or it begins to take in that in order to attain a pretty woman, a nice house, a nice car, and have all the things that society says we need to survive, this is the route through football, basketball, baseball, and rap. And then TV presents it to us just that way. How many videos have you really seen lately that doesn't glorify that type of lifestyle? Well, again, here we go. Here's another form of presentation. The news. The news is only going to tell you what they want you to know. Have anyone ever paid attention that you've never seen a dead American soldier in Iraq on the news? But you see them dead all the time. It's about presentation, and what they present to you is what they want you to believe, or it's what the mind will begin to believe if you're not consciously aware of what's truly going on. So I encourage everybody, man, to be careful what you present. Fellas, there's nothing wrong with wearing your hair how you want to. There's nothing wrong with wearing a beard. There's nothing wrong with wearing your clothes how you choose to. You're grown. But remember, somebody's watching you. And in them watching you, they're going to draw a conclusion to who you are. Overall, they may have never been to your neighborhood. That may be how the style is in your neighborhood. It might be how the style is in your city. It's no different than back in the 80s, in the early 90s, when NWA wore all black and Jerry curls. That was what a gangster was in California at that time, possibly. I don't know, never been to California. But what I'm saying is that was a presentation. So overall, when you wear your clothes a certain way, and your pants hanging off your butt, and you got your hair twisted, and you have the persona or the look and the conversation of a thug, someone who's never been to your neighborhood is going to perceive you to be a thug. Now, how, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter, because they're not going to entertain you with conversation, or they're not going to come to you for conversation to find out if you're a thug or not. All they care about is what they see, and what they see is being presented to them as a thug, not in truth, but according to what television and society has painted to them as a thug. So it's no different for females. If the first thing a guy can relate to or think about when he sees your style of dress is the lady from Pretty Woman, I think her name was Julia Roberts or something, or the looks of a woman from Hollywood Boulevard, and you look like a prostitute, well, how do you expect for him to treat you or look at you? I'm not saying it's right, but again, it's what you presented. If you present yourself to be less than a lady, then how can you expect to be treated like a lady? You gotta what you present to society, man, has to be worthwhile, because someone is always watching at all times. No matter what you're doing, no matter how you talk, no matter how you carry yourself, someone is always watching. And with them watching, you're presenting something. And what you present could very well be, or is, the reality for the person who is watching. No matter what it is that's true to you, you know the truth. God knows the truth. And one thing you can't do, you can't lie to him. Even though you may lie to yourself at times, you can't lie to him. But what you present to society is exactly what society will perceive you as. It's no different than riding in a 2014, 2015 Mercedes. Someone dressed in a suit and tie, driving in one of those vehicles, or a very nice $100,000+ car. Most people, if they see him in a certain area of their city and it's known for business or corporations, the first thing you will perceive is that that person is a successful businessman. So on all levels, no matter who you are, people perceive something from you. Just to give an example, I made a statement towards a individual recently in anger, and I'm one of the people who always tell people, stay out your emotions. Well, on that day, I got caught in my emotions, and I said something to him that I meant that we could have conversation or deal with this at this certain hour. It was perceived that it was a threat. Just that easy. What I meant for one reason or for one way was taken for something else. Again, it was about my presentation and my timing. Presentation is everything. We can't go blaming the police for everything. We can't go blame racism on everything. We can't blame other countries for everything. You got to start with yourself. And this is a conversation me and my brother always have. Shout out to my brother Carolina Quick. But we always have a conversation, man, about being responsible for who you are and your actions. Because overall, you're still, again, presenting something to society. And for people who have never been in your neighborhood, people who know nothing about you, when they see you and you, quote unquote, start talking about where you're from and what your neighborhood is about, or when the news presents, when the news puts your neighborhood on TV for something negative, well, for an individual who's never been to your neighborhood, what do you think they're going to perceive of your neighborhood? Crime, violence. And it may not be that. It may just be one act of violence. But then, to give the Mike Brown situation, you took it was a peaceful act of everyone standing together for equality for rights, etc., so Mike Brown could get justice in the cop killing him. Well, that turned into a riot. I saw myself, someone walking, well, 2 or 3 people coming out of a rim shop with like 26s or 28s in their hands. Now, again, the news presented this, and in it being presented, what did it say? subconsciously we didn't think about it, but subconsciously it says they say they want nonviolence. They say that this is not right. They're standing for this, they're standing for that, or people are standing for this and that. But yet and still, in the moment that it should have been extremely peaceful, it was chaotic and it was beyond control. So with that being said, again, what people perceive of you, if you go out and co-sign, put your stamp on it to say that that is exactly what happens, even though you think you're not saying that, that's exactly what you're saying. People don't necessarily know you. All they know is what you present. That's how you create a pass. If you continuously present the fact that you are doing certain behaviors, then that's how people perceive who you are. That very well may not be who you are. You may have a great heart, but if you're known to beat up people at the drop of a dime because you don't like people to say things to you, then guess what? You're known as a fighter. When very well you could be a lover, but that's not what you're presenting. That's not what's being perceived of you. So overall, man, I just want everybody to be cautious of what you're putting out there into the atmosphere and what you're putting out there for people to see of you. I don't care what you think about, well, that's not me. I don't do that. I don't do this and I don't do that. Like a lot of times I find where I try to address situations, people think because it's not directly them that it has no effect on them. Well, guess what? It does. Because if the world thinks that one group of people are bad people and it's continuously presented that way, then guess what? When it comes down to it and the situation does apply to you, you're going to be considered a bad person. We all have to be careful about what we're presenting, man. You can present whatever you want to, but just know with what you present, there has a following to it. It's no different than speaking positive over your life or speaking negative over your life. It's action, man. Your actions dictate a lot. You can go out here and you can talk thuggish, but guess what? Sooner or later, some thuggish activity is going to follow you. Or you're going to begin to believe the words that are coming out of your mouth, or it could very well be truth. But either way, what you're presenting is going to catch up and follow you. And when it follows you, there's nothing you can do about it. Then it's there. Always be cautious of what you put out and what people could possibly perceive from what you put out. You have to be cautious of that, man. Society is the way it is. There's nothing we can do about it other than take a stand and begin to present something different as individuals, not as a race, not as a creed, not as a color, whatever you want to put on it. It has nothing to do with that. All of it starts with each individual, man. Look in the mirror and blame yourself. If you walking out the house every day and people look at you and they cut across the corner and or cut across the street or walk around the building because they don't want to walk by you, then think about what you putting out. If every time somebody sees you, it's like, oh Lord, here comes such and such. Think about what you putting out. Everything is not always about everybody else. And the sooner we figure out what we're putting out or what we're presenting, our presentation, we'll do a whole lot better as individuals all together. Stop lying to ourselves and thinking that we presenting or we're doing something that we know good and well we're not. Get your presentation together, man. Life is an act. Not literally, but it's an act. Overall, man, like God is the director, or supposed to be the director if you're living according to his word, or you're trying to at least. God is the director, and you ought to follow the script. But if you're not following the script and you're following what this world says is the script, and we know who runs we know who's a part of this world or who dwells in this world, the enemy. So that means you're following his footsteps, or you're following what he wants you to present. Now we can walk in peace, walk and present that we are peaceful individuals. All of us, not just one race or creed. All of us, if we're walking in peace and presenting peace and truly living that peace, then that's what's going to follow us. And you can watch this world change. But everybody's so busy with all kind of other foolishness that doesn't make sense, man. And we presenting the same thing that I watch this country or watch television dictate a lot and create a lot of problems. Like, in my personal opinion, there's no true fact to this, or I wouldn't say true fact, there's no fact to it, but I've watched since reality TV taking over do some real damage to individuals, their thought process, and the way they think about things. Like, I don't knock reality TV if that's what you want to call it, but guess what? There is a director on the set, and that director is telling them what to do, cutting and airing what they want to air, and they're presenting it to society as reality TV. Reality TV is a camera walking behind somebody, and whatever they do, no matter what it is presented. They're presenting to society what they want society to see, and what they're presenting is drama. The only difference is some drama is bigger than others. And when it all comes down to it, people are watching these shows and thinking it's reality for real, and it's really not. And with it really not being reality, and you're acting like it's reality and taking it into your world as if it's true and letting it hold weight when it really shouldn't, you're going to create problems for yourself. Overall, we need to get away from letting society and television and video games play parts in our kids' lives, and get back to raising our kids, spending time with our kids, and teaching our kids about morals, respect, and what to put out in society, or what to be, or allowing them to grow into beautiful individuals. I mean, it's sad to say, but I see video games take care of kids better than parents sometimes. That shouldn't happen. If your child spend more than 4 or 5 hours a day playing video games, then there's a problem. I don't knock no one for their parenting, and I hope no one takes offense to this, but it's true. What does a video game teach a child? But I tell you what it does do. It presents something. Call of Duty. It presents something. Your child can play it if he wants to, but guess what? There's a stamp on it that says for mature audiences only. There's a reason it's stamped for mature students, mature audience only. But again, what that game presents and what that game is about could very well become reality for your child, or an adult for that matter, because it's about violence, shooting, killing, all type of different guns. And how long do you think someone can play those games before that game doesn't, or before the game creates a mentality within an individual to do something, or to see if the game's actions can be the same, or the actual outcome of the things that happen in a game would be the same outcome in the real world. Let's take some time, man, to reflect within ourselves as individuals, as parents, as leaders, and make a change, man. Life ain't all about you. If it was all about you, God would have put us here and said, stay in your corner and mind your business. But he said some of us were created to be the head, arms, legs, etc. But all of us make up the body of Christ. So we all need each other in order to create or fulfill the destiny or whatnot for the body of Christ. So don't go around thinking just because it doesn't directly affect you that it doesn't have anything to do with you. It has everything to do with you, because you are a part of this world. You are a part of this country. All I want everybody to do is truly sit down and think about what's being presented in all situations. Presentation is not about just individuals and their conversation. It's about television. It's about gossip. It's about video games. It's everything that your eyes lays itself on. There's a presentation. Be wise and think about the actions of you. Can't control nobody else. You can only control yourself. But the people who are directly attached to you will see your actions. And in your actions and them seeing your actions, you may inspire them to do something different. So don't think that this world has nothing to do with you, or don't think that your actions play no part in no one else's life. I hope everyone enjoys their Sunday. I hope you get something from this, and I hope everyone understands that this is not to point fingers at anybody. This is not to talk about anybody like I'm better than anybody, because I struggle just like anybody else. I have to pray and talk to God every day, all day. I'm probably one of the most jacked up people sometimes that you could ever meet if I ain't rolling with God hard like I'm supposed to. Because I know I can have a bad attitude. I know I can be a little reckless at times. I know I can show my behind if I want to. But at the same time, I know God is creating, or God keeps me humble. And He keeps me aware and keeps reminding me that what I present will be seen. And that's reality. So I hope everybody enjoy their day. I hope this message has inspired change in somebody. If it inspires change in one, then I'm sure it'll inspire change in more, because one person can make a difference. So hopefully, man, you all have a good day, and stop letting what you present be the downfall. Present something beautiful, present something genuine and unique, and don't be afraid to be you. Have a good day.